Hey guys, Chantal Windley here, and I am currently a fitness instructor in Singapore. Yes, I was brought up in Singapore, and yes, I am Singaporean. And I'm super excited to talk to you guys about how it was like growing up in Singapore. So I grew up so let's start with primary school quickly. I was in an all-girls school in Methodist Girls School, so MGS. And this is a fun fact, but my parents pulled me out of school before primary six because they knew I wouldn't do so well in PSLE. And we moved to Malaysia. So I never had PSLE, and that's therefore why I never had like a school posting that I had to go specifically into. And I did grow up for 4 years in Malaysia in an international school, and I guess that is why I do have a bit of an international background. Now, the transition from then going from the international school in Malaysia all the way back to Singapore, and I went to the Singapore Sports School as a swimmer. Jumping in from the culture difference of an international school to then a local school was a bit of a culture shock for me. And I think I spoke to you as well a little bit on the phone about it, about how I feel as a Eurasian or a mix or someone different looking in Singapore. It was a bit of a struggle for me growing up in the environment. So I was a swimmer in the Singapore Sports School, and I didn't do the boarding system. I was traveling every morning at 6 a.m. to go for training, 6 to 8 a.m. Then I would go to school, and then we would train again from 4 to 6 p.m. And I just feel growing up, it was in the school environment of a local school environment. I mean, there was only like a handful of us that were mixed. And I feel like being different was just, for me, it was a little bit more challenging because I was not exactly looking the same as everyone else or being the same. And I came from, again, an international school background. I wouldn't say there was like a lot of bullying, but there were exclusions. Is that the right word?
Yeah.
Exclusions from groups because I felt like I was different. I remember graduating from my O-levels. Didn't do very well, okay.
It's okay. We all don't do well.
I mean, I really didn't do that well. I remember a teacher, I can't remember which one. I think it might have been a maths teacher. And she said to me, you're not going to make it very far with your results like this. And I don't know what it is, but that somehow just stuck with me because in a way, I was like, well, I'm going to do whatever I want to do. And I'm going to have that in the back of my mind. And whatever I do, I know that I will do really well if I'm interested in it. Hence why at school I was not interested in it. And since then, I mean, I never really put too much focus on it. But I know that everything I put my heart and soul into, it just would do well. And yeah, I feel like she already kind of just put criticism on something that hadn't even happened yet, you know? And I think that's something in the Singapore system as well that they sometimes do. There is always, I felt, minor threats, indirect minor threats, right? That would be like, oh, if you don't do this, you're not going to do well there. Or if you don't do this, or don't do that. You know, there's always this like, oh, if you don't, that's going to happen, right? And this is something in the Singapore system that I really disliked. And obviously only now thinking back when I'm an adult, a full-grown adult, that I am able to really pinpoint. When you're young, you don't know these things. You're not going to be like overthinking these things, right? And it's more really just now being an adult and looking back to some of the things that some of my teachers might have said, or just the whole upbringing of how the system worked. I'm just like, no, I would never want my child to go through that. I think since young, I've always just been a very headstrong person of, if I don't like something, I'm not going to do it. I don't care who says what. And I guess it really developed more as I grew up. I just have this very sassy attitude to life. And if I'm specifically also told that I cannot do something, I will go and do it. Yes, sometimes it does affect me, But I feel like I have this, it is a personality thing where I have this thing where I'm like, no, Chantal, you've got this. Like, you can do it. And I will always try, and I guess I always like to be different. I always like to be the one that could do it all. I will be honest. Like, if they're like, no, you can't do that, you can't do that, you can't do three of them together, I will do it. I think it's just like a thing that I've had.
We have that in common, actually. Like, very, very much in common.
Yeah,
it's great.
It's something that I think is a very important skill to have, because
absolutely.
It's a stubbornness, to be honest, but it will help you in the long run, you know? So because I grew up as an athlete, I was actually a really good swimmer, okay? I'm told they were like, your height won't really go very far. I was like, okay, well, my dreams are crushed. But also, I mean, at the age of 15, I really was no longer that interested in swimming. But because of that swimming background, thank you, mother and father, I have really grown a passion to the swimming side of things in terms of teaching swimming to kids, right? So since the age of 15, I applied for my very first job, and I've been working as a swimming instructor since the age of 15. I'm now 31. So that's been 16 years that I've been just in love with teaching. So having that as a passion, I now teach little kids like 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years old. So 3 to 7 year olds every day. I love it. It's a passion. So that's that side. Being involved in the fitness industry is always something that I have just always wanted to be a part of, because I feel I can relate, I can connect with people. So then I taught spin for 3 years, but now I'm teaching Pilates. I love it at Strong Singapore. It's the best. So we have swimming, we have Strong Pilates in the fitness industry, both my passion. And then in COVID, I was like, Chantal, you need to do more. You need to have something else. And because I've always been a creative person, I decided to set up my swimwear brand called Mrs. Deco. It's swimwear with Art Deco prints, quite luxurious in a way. And so I started that brand. I started creating swimwear from absolutely no experience. And someone said to me once, was like, but you don't know how to sew. You don't know how the stitching works. I'm like, I don't need to know this stuff. You just do it. That is my attitude, actually, in everything.
Figure it out.
You figure it out. And I had to figure out making a website. I had to figure out all of these things. Of course, I called friends and stuff. I asked them, you know, if you're passionate about something, you want to do something, you have every tool around you to actually go and do it. The internet is there. Now we have ChatGPT. It's even better. So I set up that brand. So all these 3 things are my passion, right? And then comes in the whole content creation, influencing, where I guess because of my personality and me being so easy with the phone, and I love being on camera, or I love taking videos, I love documenting things, like things just somehow fell into place in that side of things as well. So all my jobs have been freelance, right? There have been struggles, don't get me wrong. There are times where there is always this pressure, and I think this is something from the upbringing side of being in Singapore, of not being enough or not doing enough, or specifically as well, not earning enough to live a decent lifestyle in Singapore. And that is why I've always kind of jumped onto different things. I'm currently also thinking, like, what else can I do right now? Like, how else can I earn more money? And I don't know if that is a good thing or a bad thing, because I can see it in both ways. One way, it's going to make us a little more motivated to go and do more, right? In the other way, when the hell can our brains just stop for a second and relax and enjoy life? And I think that's why I've always had in my head where I'm like, right, if you're a freelancer, you can do whatever you want. You can work passion. You can work and get some money here and there while enjoying life. Don't know if I could do a 9 to 5. I'm open to the option, but I've never actually really fully done a 9 to 5. I think only 1 year.
That was enough.
And then I was like, this is too structured for me. Like, I've got to live a life. Like, there's too much breaks. Struggle wise, right? Now it comes down the struggle wise to, well, feeling like you're not doing enough is one, but secondly is I'm a fitness instructor. I teach swimming in outdoor pools. If it's raining, I don't make income from the swimming side. Let's say 2 days it's raining at 4 o'clock, and this happens sometimes on my peak hours. I make nothing. When I'm traveling, I'm actually on a no paid travel because as a freelancer, you can't get paid, right? For when you're not there. If I'm injured, touch wood, I don't get injured. But if I am injured, I also don't make an income. And I think the most struggle I've had is not making an income when I feel like these things could happen and there's a fear of getting injured or there's a fear of not showing up, right? And it's all just hustle. It's like a nonstop hustle life here. And that's something I've been brought up into, but I'm trying to beat it by being me and by realizing these things.
Yeah.
I'm talking a lot.
That's fine.
Yeah, I 100% would always choose the freelance life internally, even though, I don't know, maybe if I'm like a mother and I'm struggling, or like I don't know, I would probably then opt for a more stable income, right? I mean, right now I am looking for something a little more stable that still gives me the flexibility. Like, you know, I'm so jealous of people who can do like remote work and stuff, right? But yeah, I've chosen this lifestyle for a reason. And sometimes I really need to dig deep into remembering the reason why I started this route, which sometimes you can fade off because comparison, it's all comparison right now. And sometimes on Instagram as well, or social media, I see like people my age or people I went to school with who are doing so well in their 9 to 5 and like earning 6-figure units and stuff, working in property or whatever. And I'm like, wow, so nice, like so much money. But then I always think back, like, money, like only money, like that's always my mind, like, oh wow, they're earning so much money. And I think above all, and who I am as a person, money is just not number one for me. If it ever did become number one for me, I don't know who I would be. Okay, so success comes in all shapes and forms and it really depends on how you see it. Like, am I successful black and white? No. But do I feel successful? Yes. I'm adding value to these little kids swimming. They love coming to my lessons. I'm adding value to the fitness industry. People love coming in, spending a good time, 45 minutes with me, working out, sweating, while having a great time working on themselves. I'm adding value to that. I'm adding value to beautiful women wearing beautiful swimsuits and feeling the best in their body. So am I successful? Yes, because I have added value to the world or to people around me.
I love that.
Yeah.
I really do. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Chantal, for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Awesome.